Welcome to the Way of the Illuminated Warrior Global Summit Series. My name is Perry Finkelstein, also known as Waska, and it's my pleasure to be hosting this series of mindful experts who will be sharing with you their wisdom to help and to heal and to find ways for you to reach your truest, highest potential. And my special guest today is Judy Wong. And Judy is an American-born Chinese woman raised by Cantonese-speaking parents on Long Island, New York. Judy is an actor who has spent 4 seasons on the TV show House of Cards and 3 seasons on the show Veep. She is also an award-winning filmmaker and is the author of How to Start a Film Acting Career Right Where You Live. Judy is a teacher and a private acting coach and has mentored teens, teaching life skills and confidence in all areas of filmmaking. Along with her husband, Judy has led classes for young married couples, giving them tools to grow healthy marriages. And having gone through 40 years of healing herself, Judy became a certified massage therapist to help others heal. Judy speaks at conferences and retreats to educate people about holistic healing. She's the author of Restoring the Wounded Soul, excellent book, and she now lives in Washington, D.C., with her husband of 24 years and their 15-year-old daughter. So it's my great pleasure to welcome my friend Judy.
Thank you. Thank you, Perry.
Yeah, thanks for being here today, Judy. And I'm really looking forward to hearing your wisdom and your stories and all the good things that you're going to share with the audience. So let's start off with a little bit about your history. And I know it's challenging. It could be emotional and all, and also very important, I think, to share with the audience, like where you came from and some of the challenges that you've gone through to really evolve and become the really healthy, whole, and healed woman that you've become. So if you are comfortable with that, please take it away, Judy.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, as you had mentioned, I grew up on Long Island in a Chinese-speaking family. Both my parents came from China, and so I'm first generation born here. And watching all those programs like Beaver and Fathers Know Best, all those shows where they discuss things and everything's resolved in 20 minutes. We didn't have that. And I just really desired that growing up because, my parents grew up, in the World War II. And I've heard through my childhood how they would, run and try to survive. So, survival was a big deal. So any bruises or any little hurts that we have here in America was not a big deal. It's like you're still living, you got a roof over your head, you got food in your mouth, you're good. Well, just who I am, in regards to how I was created, I'm a very emotional being. So all of my emotions never got validated or nurtured. So through life, I just learned to just stuff it. Yes, I am fine. Yes, I'm fine. They keep on telling me I'm fine. I'm strong. I'm fine. So that's what I kept on doing was I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. But after a while, I started getting really ill. And I couldn't understand why, because I'm a hardworking person and I have a lot of dreams. And I was very ill. And I just thought, wow, I don't know what's going on. Through that period, I actually spiritually found God, and I needed some hope. I actually had an accident when I was 19, and I was disabled. I was told I would never walk again. I was not okay with that, being a New Yorker.
Oh, yeah.
I was not okay with that. They kept on telling me that there was no hope for me. There was no help. And I thought, how can that be? I'm 19 years old and my life ends. I'm in something that I'm calling a cuckoo's nest. It was a mental health clinic, outpatient, and they had me just drugged up. Back in the 80s, it was known as pain management,
That's what they did, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I noticed that all they were doing is drugging me throughout the whole day. And I thought, wait a minute, this is not helping my back and my neck and shoulder. It's like, what's happening? And it was, I had that New York spunk. This happened in Orlando. And I just, the way they spoke to you, it was just right at that time, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest just came out in the movies. And I thought, oh my gosh, oh my Jack Nicholson, I am like caught in this place and I don't know why. And I actually had asked them if they would please stop talking to me in that tone, because the tone was very, I mean, if you're not mental, you will be mental after a while. It was, good morning, Judy, it was throughout the whole day. And I thought, no, this is not good. So I asked them to please stop talking to me like that. Because what I learned was when they were drugging me every day, I ended up putting the pill underneath my tongue. And then I would pretend and sneeze and get the pill out. And I'd be watching what was happening throughout the day. I'm thinking, okay.
See, Jack Nicholson helped you. There you go.
What's that?
Jack Nicholson helped you. One Flew Over, yeah.
Yes, he did. He did, because I thought, oh my gosh, all they do is drug you. So I actually asked them if they would please, I politely asked them if they would please stop talking to me like that. Because what upset me so much was in art therapy, I'm good at art. So they were like, after I was finished with whatever I was doing, they were like, look what Judy did. And I was like, what is happening here? So I asked the lady, can you please stop talking? I said, I need to talk to you privately. I spoke with her and I said, can you please stop talking to me like that? She said she couldn't. This is how all social workers need to speak. So the next day I came back and I spoke to them the same way. And they didn't like it, and they called me and asked me to stop. And they said, you're causing havoc. If you don't stop, we're going to have to ask you to leave. I said, oh, you mean I could leave?
Perfect.
I said, don't let the door hit you on my way out. I left. And of course, this was a workman's comp case. I had fallen at work, and my adjuster said if I don't go back, I would be cut off. I said, from what? Cut off from what? I said, fine. I said, I can't do this. So through that time, I got worse. I just could not move. The pain was excruciating, shooting pain down my leg, neck, arms, and I actually had a cold. And I went to my primary physician, and he said, what's wrong with your back? I said, nothing. I said, I'm here for a cold.
Not going back, never going back again.
No, I had like 20 doctors by that time, and each one made me worse.
That's the way they operated back then. That's why they call it practicing medicine. They're practicing on us. Yeah. So how'd you get through it? What pulled you through?
What pulled me through was this doctor. The fact of just having to be true to yourself and to fight was the thing, because I saw a lot of people gave up. And I thought, I'm a fighter. I'm not going to give up. This doctor is a very well-known doctor in the Washington, D.C. area, and he had this new method. It's called PRP and prolotherapy, and it's basically taking platelets out of your own body. They take the blood out and they spin it, and they shoot it back in you. So it's your own healing agents. So that actually completed me to 100%.
Wow, that's awesome. So let me ask you, you said something there like be true to yourself. What do you mean by be true to yourself?
Well, when you are a victim of any sort, growing up, being abused physically or mentally or emotionally, you learn to not feel. So you don't learn to be who you are. So through my process of all the healing that I have done, I've learned to be true to myself, of validating how I feel, and nurturing who I am. So that's what I mean.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, it's very important because, so much through life when we're small, and even when we get to be big boys and girls, there's always somebody who wants to tell us like how to feel, how to talk, how to walk, how to think, and it's really important to be in that place of autonomy, and that's what I teach. You know, I taught my boys growing up, and all the men that I work with. It's like really, it's essential to be autonomous. We have to be who we are, and that's really the only way to find out what our true purpose is here, you know, on this earth. And you know, it's not always an easy thing to do, but it really is essential to not let other people direct your path in this life. So being authentic and you know, being real is you know, it's vital. It's essential. Yeah. Mm.
I totally agree.
So, you know, you got healthy physically and all. So where did your journey take you after that, as far as, you know, on the healing path?
It was always one thing right after another, where something good would happen, but then something bad would happen. So this great doctor that had helped me, he ended up having a stroke, and his son took over, and then his son ended up raping me. So it was like up and down, up and down. It was hell. Wow. It was up and down. So I'm
glad you could laugh about it now, because that's a very serious, horrible thing for anybody to experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I, you know, yeah, you're saying I'm laughing at it. It's I'm not really laughing. It was a horrible thing. The person was very sick, but through my healing process, really when in my, late 20s, I was healing. I felt that all my skeletons came out of the closet, where I was sharing what had happened to me, you know, and being bold about it, and speaking at conferences and retreats and encouraging people to heal. I thought I was done, but I wasn't. I didn't know there were other phases to healing. I had gotten to a point in my life that my self-esteem was built, and where I felt valuable to meet someone good in my life. And when I did, and I ended up marrying him, and I had no idea, being in the safe place that I was, there was more healing, and it was a deeper emotional healing. So granted, being able to come out and share that I was raped or physically abused as a child, you know, just a whole ton of stuff that had happened. People were all like, wow, you know, thank you for sharing, because, you know, they all have their own stuff, and they felt like, yeah, I need to bring it out. But when I got married, I had gotten sick. I had 105.5 fever. And for 5 days I was in the hospital. They did not think I would make it, because adults usually don't make it at that temperature. And at home, when I got home, I had to recuperate, and all my systems had stopped. So it took a while to get my system, everything, you know, running again. And I laid there, and I had prayed. I had said, God, why would you have me in this place? Craig is such a great guy. Why would you have him marry me and have me disabled right now? I was not functioning at all. And actually, I ended up writing a song because of that thought.
Feel free to sing at any time.
Oh, that's okay. The Lord had shown me that there was more healing to do. And I thought, what? And he was like, I need you to feel. I was like, feel? I was like, oh. I thought, what is that? And I thought, but everything's out. It's like, yeah, everything is out, but I need you to feel the pain that you felt back then. I thought, okay. So of course I didn't do it all at once, because it was just way too much stuff. But it was one thing after another. I would end up feeling pain. Like the first thing was whipping at my ankles, like I'm laying there in bed and it feels like someone's beating me. I'm like, there's nobody here. Why am I in pain like this? And the memory was being whipped with the stick that, you know, the Asians use. It's actually a chicken feather duster, but they use not the feather part. They hold that part and then they whip you with the other side.
So you were flashing back to when you were younger?
Flashing back.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow. And I didn't know back then that our bodies have memory cells that store the stuff. I didn't know that back then. So I was like, what is happening? And then the memory would come as I prayed. I was like, what is happening to me? And sure enough, the exact picture of that day, me, you know, jumping up and down as that stick was going, I was like, what? And then I started crying. And the tears would just flow. And I'm like, and then the Lord was like, that is what I need you to do.
Yeah, it's a release. Yeah, emotional release.
I had so much to release. There was just I had a disease at 25 years old where they first couldn't figure out what was wrong. It was trigeminal neuralgia. They had said to me, first we thought it was the teeth because it was in the gums, the nerve. And, you know, we did root canals, we pulled teeth out, nothing was working. And they said, I think it's Tic-Delarue. And I was like, what is that? They said, actually, it's a disease for elderly people. You're too young to have this. And I thought, what is it? And they said, it's the largest nerve in your brain. And it's activating where it comes through like branches, like a tree. And the pain is just excruciating. Think of a lightning, you know, like, you know, lightning, but it comes through your face, and the pain is, I was told that back in the day when they didn't have medicine for it, it was called the suicide disease.
Trigeminal is, it's the three nerves that are in your cheekbone and all, and they really don't have the most definitive diagnosis for that or know exactly what causes it. I mean, they always come up with something because they can't say, well, we don't know. But in my experience and all the stories that I've heard, a lot of it has to do with psychological traumas and holding on to that energy. And what I was hearing you saying before from pretty much all of the traumatic events that you've gone through, you know, when you hold on to that negative emotion, we'll say, that's what really further causes you to be ill and to not be able to heal. So that, you know, you were saying the crying and the releasing and the re-experiencing it, whatever it is, because, you know, emotions buried alive never die. So it really is important to acknowledge that and get it out however that needs to be. And I believe that probably one of the biggest healing factors that goes along with that is forgiveness, you know, to forgive yourself and to forgive the others that are involved. And that's not to say that you're acknowledging that it was okay, any of it was okay, but it's the forgiveness helps our bodies and our minds, the physiology of it, to actually heal. So what's your experience with forgiveness, the big F?
The big F. I realized after I, you know, felt the feelings and then, you know, healed where I would rest, that the next step was to forgive. And the release from the forgiveness was just so freeing. I was just set free. It doesn't excuse and give them the right of whatever they had done, but it freed me. And so forgiveness is a big part of it. In my book, you know, I had written, there's a formula for, say, a process of deal, feel, heal, seal to be real. So the seal part is forgiving. And there was a book back in the 80s called God's Prescription for Mending. That's right. And they talked about forgiveness. And I thought, wow, that's good, where you go to a safe place and you see that person that had offended you and you tell them how you felt. And you just share from your heart. My safe place, that when I close my eyes, I don't know why, but it was Jesus' tomb. I thought I would have chosen Hawaii because I love Hawaii and the
Each to his own, right?
I know, right? So, but when I close my eyes, I also had my Lord and Savior there with me, because having someone there with me would have been is good, because to be with the person that had hurt me, it was hard, but I was willing to do it, and I wanted to do it, and I would tell that person that whatever they had done had really, really hurt me. And they would listen, and they were on good behavior because, Jesus was standing with us. And so they would apologize. I would hear them apologize and say, I'm really sorry for hurting you. And I was a very sick person, or, whatever they would say. And I would listen, and then I would say, okay. And they would say, thank you for forgiving me. And I'd say, welcome. And it was finished. It was done.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So there's a lot of people that I couldn't see face to face. But I have to say that, both my parents have apologized, which is a real blessing.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, that is big. That was very big. So I'm very, very grateful for the healing process that I've gone through. And it wasn't easy. It was very, very hard. But once I had tasted it, I was, I think, like 25 years old when I had first tasted it. And I felt the freedom of that chain,
Yeah.
broken. And I thought, and I actually said, gosh, God, if there's anything else, show me, because I want to be.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Oh, golly gee whiz.
Right?
Not realize how much stuff I had.
No, I hear you. I think it's really awesome. And, I see it as almost like a metaphor. You went to, the place where Jesus, was resurrected. So in a way, visually, I'm thinking that when I hear your story and all that you had the opportunity to go through that process of forgiveness and healing, and in your own way, you resurrected out of a really, if you will, dark place into the new Judy, who I see now is really healthy, whole, and healed, because you went through that whole process. You felt it, you dealt, you felt, you healed, you dealed, you're real. And that's, that's a beautiful thing. So, now, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're an actress, you have all these things going on. So I would say that's like really your purpose, from what I see and what I know of you. So, so how do you think, that came about to find that true purpose? And do you think all the things that happened to you along the way propelled you to find this divine purpose that you're doing now?
Most definitely. There's no mistake of anything that I had gone through. The pain that each person goes through. There's a purpose for everything. There really is. And for me to be able, I was on the table a lot in regards to all sorts of tables, like doctors and chiropractors and massage therapists and physical therapists. And I noticed that on the massage tables, that as my massage therapist is working on me and would touch a certain area, a memory would come up, and then things would, come out and start healing. I realized that that is so important for everyone to have, those that really want it, because you have to want to be well and to be healed. And so what I ended up doing later on was I became a massage therapist later on in life to help others to give back. And I had seen, working on all the people that I have, not everyone is open to healing because it's hard. But those that I have helped have just thrived in their life. And it was a blessing to me to be able to help them. and to, anyone that desires it, I'm here and I live today to share that it's doable. It's doable to live a wholesome life, to have a peaceful, joyful life in your home, in your family, a great husband, a great, child, a great family, the unit, and the people, your community, of helping your community also. That's what it's all about. It's about love. It's about, nurturing and helping one another.
Yeah. Well said. Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about like setting healthy boundaries and building self-esteem, because I know that's part of the work that you've done for yourself as well as people that you've coached and all. So what's your feelings about that? Setting healthy boundaries and building self-esteem.
Well, they're two separate things. Building self-esteem is really important. As a child, we should have had our parents build us, but if not, it's self-talk, basically. It's good for you to be surrounded by healthy, growing people where they can encourage you and give you affirmation. But if you don't have that, I had that, but yet I still needed to tell myself, even though people would, say, compliment me. I used to sing, and I could never really take the compliment. People would say, "Oh, that was a beautiful solo," and I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, praise the Lord." I would give God the credit. And I remember my husband saying, "How come you're not receiving the praise and the affirmation?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "You're not accepting their praise." And I'm like, "I'm not." So, he brought that to my attention. So I thought, what is that? So I realized that my self-esteem in that was not good, and I needed to tell myself, I've worked hard on that song, so it's okay to receive the praise, and it's okay to say thank you, So I would have to overcome that. I actually would go in front of the mirror and pretend the person's saying it to me, and I'd look at myself and go, "Say thank you, Judy." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you." Be gracious and say thank you. Don't say, "Well, I made a mistake," or, "Well, stop that. Stop that."
That's what we do, though, right? That's what we do, because that's what we learned, and it wasn't even necessarily intended for us to learn that, but that's what we experience as little ones. And we, like we were saying, the self-talk, the negative self-talk that keeps us feeling unworthy and unloved and not good enough. And I grew up in an alcoholic family. My dad drank every day. There was love there. It was expressed in the best way he knew how. But I didn't really get what I needed, and there all the challenges that go along with that. But just like you, also, I looked at those challenges. I felt them. I looked at it. I healed through them, and I forgave my dad. I forgave myself, and I kept myself very small when I was young. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be in the spotlight at all. And I think it was part of that wounding and that negative self-talk, that I'm not good enough, and I shouldn't be heard. I shouldn't be seen. So it really is so important for us to acknowledge that. It doesn't matter if the song is good for anybody else. We love it. We created it. We're belting it out there, and same for myself or anybody else. Where God created us. So what are we saying? He screwed up? I mean, no. We're all perfect beings, and we really have to acknowledge that there's a lot of good in all of us, and that's a great place to start. So
you
yeah, please
continue. In regards to forgiveness, forgiving yourself, that is really big. After I had forgiven everyone, I actually had to really look deep inside also, and had to forgive myself for all the things, even though things were not right at home, but still as an adult, I made wrong choices. And I had to forgive myself, for the things of not, caring for myself enough or loving myself enough to take care of myself back then. So forgiveness is huge, not just for those people, but also for yourself.
Yeah, and not to be so hard on ourselves.
Right. Well, for whatever reason, from the generational influences and or curses, it was put upon us. And we have that power to stop that generational influence or curse and to make the changes. So, like using even sticky notes, like if you need to see it, if you're a visual person, not just, audio, or like even audio, you can record and say, you are a beautiful and wonderfully made person, just to hear it yourself if you don't have anyone to tell you that. Or I used to use I remember in my 20s, I would have sticky notes telling myself that I am, I'm worthy to be loved. I am a great person. I am, I needed that, so to build, not to be arrogant, but to build the self-esteem. So self-esteem is so, so important, because once you have that, then you would be able to set boundaries with people that are unhealthy for you. I had so many unhealthy people around me. Oh my gosh.
Join the club.
Oh my gosh. I remember in my 20s, I had thought to myself, what is happening that I have all these dysfunctional relationships? And I had to take a step back and look and go, what is wrong with this? Like, it's Judy, it's the choices that you're making. You're not making good choices. So it's like, oh, but you don't know that until you know it.
Yeah.
But a light bulb needs to be screwed in, and you're like, oh, okay, let it be right. Oh, I'm worthy of something better. Wow, really? I didn't know that.
And I think we have to have some of those experiences to realize, like, just like the yin and the yang, the complementary opposites, there is another way, so we have to experience, if you will, the dark before we could really embrace the light. So, yeah.
Yeah. So having your self-esteem higher helps you to set higher boundaries, higher hedges around yourself of who you let in, and even what you let in, like through media. A lot of negative stuff that comes in, it stays in. Don't let it in. Don't let it in. If you need to make changes with the friends that you have, that so-called friends that are using you, get rid of them. There's plenty of people out there. Plenty of people. So that is what I started doing. And my path was going to churches, finding just understand, and I know a lot of people have had a lot of bad experiences in churches and organizations and synagogues. Everyone is human, okay? Know that everyone that goes there is not perfect. They're there to get well too. One of my pastors used to say a church is basically a hospital for the sick. I love that when he said that. I thought, yeah, we're all not well. And we're all here to learn and to grow and to get better, right? So it was nice. It was a blessing for me, because when I went, I was protected by a lot of very seasoned mentors, people that had already been walking with the Lord for decades. So I was very blessed with that, not with the young ones, and that's still, doing all sorts of stuff. But I was very blessed with the one or two in these churches that saw that I was young and, a baby and wanting to learn and grow. And my gosh, they fed me big time. And I just could not get enough of the truth of, my truth of who I am supposed to be. And I grew a lot. In my church, and became, a leader in many different ways, and love serving and helping others grow also.
Yeah, service is a big part of how we heal as well, and I know that you and with your husband and all that, you've helped to teach teens as well as counsel others with having a good marriage. And also maybe you'd like to speak a little bit about that, give the audience a little bit of advice, just, even general stuff, how to have a healthy relationship with your partner.
Okay. Yes, we actually had a young married couples class called Growing Together in Christ. It was giving tools to young married couples. We were blessed with it in our early marriage, in our year, when we first got married. And it was just great tools. It was a group of people that wanted to grow also, learning how to resolve conflicts, how to not have conflicts. And what I, just in a nutshell, because that's another whole segment on marriage. How I see marriage is this: after being married almost 25 years, this year we'll celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary, is two people coming together. And what I love about us is we were both transparent. There was no masks. We didn't fake anything. We were transparent. We were just true to who we were. And that built the friendship first. So in my singles Sunday school class, we were taught how to be single, how to be healthy singles. And that was not having premarital sex. They were teaching because that clouds your mind and kind of messes things up. It really does. So I thought, okay, so no more premarital sex. And so what do? Learn to know the person. Get to know the person in their own families, in the workplace, and in the organization that you're in. Whether it's, a Buddhist temple or a synagogue or a church. Get to know them and who they are surrounded by. And, that's where you're setting boundaries too, right? Because you see they're swearing or doing drugs or drinking a lot. Well, okay, that's not the world I want, right? So my mentor actually had told me to make a list. Make a list of the spouse that you would want. And I'm like, what? And she said, pray for him. I said, isn't that kind of selfish to pray for yourself? She says, no. After you pray for others, at the end, pray for your spouse and pray for this list that you're going to make. So I did. I went home and I made a list. I had over 50 qualifications.
Oof.
I know. I called her right away. It was really late. I said, Athena,
I got to meet your husband.
I said, I had over 50 qualifications. She said, Judy, don't you think God loves you more than that? And back then, where I was at spiritually, I said, I don't know. She's like, he does. She said, just pray for that. Pray. So I did with my girlfriend, my childhood girlfriend, Dawn Balvin. I told her about my list and I gave her my list and we prayed for my spouse for 7 years. And every guy that I dated, I would look at that list to see.
No, only 48. You're out. I got to have that extra 2%. 2 points.
He's holding the fork wrong. He's using the wrong fork. No, I'm kidding.
I got a 47 and a 42, but not a 50, so I'm holding out.
But when I met Craig, there was something really pure about him. And I thought, wow, he would be a good friend to have. And we were just friends. There was no titles. So there was no, no pretentious anything because we're not trying to impress each other. So anyway, so getting back to relationships, how I see a marriage is that two people that come together, they're signing up basically to help each other, to love one another and help each other heal. Really. Yeah. How I see what's happened in our marriage, of how many times I've been ill, and his unconditional love. There's just nothing like it.
Yeah, there is nothing like unconditional love, and that's it's not the easiest thing to do. I've looked at that with the guys in my men's group and all. Like unconditional love is probably, I would have to say, based on, the circle work that I've done with all these guys, it really is not an easy thing to have unconditional love for yourself or for the other people in your life. But it's well worth it when you first and foremost, feel that you are in a good place and you do acknowledge who you are and you do love yourself and you have gone through that forgiveness process and the autonomy of being who you are and not being afraid to stand on your own, regardless of what anybody else thinks, and and being authentic in the world. And that's when the good stuff starts coming in. And I love what you said about being friends first. I mean, that's in my past long-term relationships. We became friends first, and that, made the relationships that much better because, the reality is romance is always the hottest and heaviest in the beginning. And then because we do become complacent or whatever else, the spark diminishes or we start getting more critical with each other and ourselves. And, but you still, when you have that friendship, you could work through things, and relationships are work. There's no magic pill that you take and like, oh, you're going to be in the clouds and in love forever. It does take work. But I think if you do have that unconditional love, which is in small, commodity these days, I think anyway, that you can survive anything. So that's a great thing to aspire to, really knowing what unconditional love is and finding it within yourself and within your partner. And it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
The first thing I asked him as we were getting to know each other some more, we talked a lot. I had asked him, I said, do you love yourself? And he kind of looked at me.
That's a hard question.
And because I felt like if he loved himself, then he would be able to love others. Because if you don't love yourself, you're not going to be able to love unconditionally. So I needed to know that. And, of course he does. And it hasn't been easy with all the illnesses that I've had. But through thick and thin, he was just always there and just compassionate. And I remember in the beginning, when we first got married, I was like beating myself up, like, I can't do anything. I can't even cook or do laundry for the guy. I'm like, why do I even exist? It's like, this is horrible. And he's like, Judy, don't worry about that. There's restaurants, I can make my own meal. Don't worry about that. He's like, just get well. And I'd be like, what? Because everything was always merited, everything had to be achieved by a certain time. And here, I had no control over my health. And he was just, his unconditional love and the safe place that we developed, in our marriage had helped me do all the healing that I needed to do. So I credit a lot of the healing, to him, and I thank God for him because
yeah, beautiful. Well, look at you now. You're golden, sister. Right on. Very happy for you. Yeah, beautiful. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing those stories and all. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to share with our audience. Judy's got a very generous free gift for everyone. So if you would like to speak a little bit about that.
Yes. My free gift is an ebook of my book, Restoring the Wounded Soul. So you will get a link. Perry will let you know how to get the link, but everyone that clicks onto the link will get a free ebook.
Yeah, right on. And it shares, I've read it, and it shares, different ways that you could find healing and restore your soul. So thank you for that generous offer, Judy. That's very kind of you. Yeah. So before we conclude for today, I want to give you the opportunity for anything left unsaid, any closing words to our audience, any more pearls of wisdom you'd like to share.
I would like to share that healing is a process and it's doable. Love yourself. You're worthy to be loved. And, take one day at a time. Don't push yourself. Don't rush the healing. If you do, read my book. My email is in there in case you need to, you want to touch bases with me. Know that it's doable, and enjoy yourself, enjoy this world. There's so many good things here. Surround yourself with wonderful people, and enjoy your life. Live
Yeah.
with joy, love, and peace.
Amen. Yeah, that's great advice, Judy. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to join me here today and for sharing all your stories and your wisdom and for being authentic and vulnerable and giving what you have today to the viewers. So thank you.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All righty. So I hope everybody enjoyed Judy's words of wisdom today, and be sure to click on the link and download her free ebook. It's wonderful, and reach out to her if you feel the calling. And so until next time, be well and illuminate your path with loving kindness.